So is it possible that President Trump could be a Russian agent? Zaid Jilani.
Well, I think Trump was probably dodging that question, partly because it was a kind of a silly question. It's kind of like asking, do you beat your wife, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I think he was kind of trolling the media a little bit for a couple of days. But I do think that the Mueller investigation, I don't think it's a witch hunt. I think when President Trump calls it that, he's trying to deflect away from something. And it may not necessarily be that he has some nefarious collusion with Russians. It may just be that he has some sort of personal affinity for Vladimir Putin. And it may also just be that he has business dealings all over the world. And Mueller is looking at all of them. He's investigated ties between the UAE and the Trump campaign, between Israel and Kushner. So I think that, Trump is very, very touchy for this reason. And that often puts off the impression that maybe he was doing something with Russia, although we don't really have that particular information yet. But I don't think he does himself a lot of favors with his general defensiveness and attacking the investigation.
Sure, and that special counsel, Robert Mueller, you're referring to there. Michael, why do you think the FBI decided to look into the President of the United States as a counterintelligence operation?
I think that it's because there are a lot of voices in government that want to use the idea of collusion to pursue the president politically, because there are a variety of ways that you can attack somebody. You can attack somebody in terms of their policy ideas, their legislation, and then you can impugn their character.
Is that what the FBI was doing here, you think?
I think that it's one of the functions of calling for such an investigation.
But this wasn't anyone calling for an investigation. This was the FBI opening a counterintelligence investigation.
Well, when the FBI opens up a counterintelligence investigation, it's because somebody else called for it.
Well, the press report suggests that it was because when the president fired then FBI Director James Comey, that people within the FBI were concerned that he might have been doing this off the back of his links to Russia. So
I don't think that that's a very valid concern, to suppose that the president is actually a Russian agent. But assuming that that was a valid concern, then one of the functions of such an investigation is political, and other functions are obviously exactly what they say they are, which is to investigate the president. But I think that there is a political component to it.
So, Kelley, do you agree? Was it purely political, or did the FBI really have something to be worried about?
Yeah, I'd like to push back a little. I feel like the president is defensive because he has been investigated since the Mueller investigation began, which was in May 2017. So we're nearing the 2-year mark. And so far you've had some 33 people have been indicted by Mueller. None of them have been indicted for collusion in terms of Trump's campaign, Trump himself colluding with the Russians to win the 2016 election. So you have a lot of people who have been arrested for meddling and using Twitter and other social media means. You have Michael Cohen, you have Paul Manafort, all not so nice figures, but yet that smoking gun has yet to be delivered to the American people. So for almost 2 years now, the media has been driving this narrative that President Trump is a agent of the Russians. He was colluding. We would not have him in the White House now if it wasn't for his help by the Russians. And so far, we have no evidence to bolster those claims.